Hello Internet, today we're going to find out what it's like to buy an MSI 4080 from eBay. This is some sort of an eBay special. We see some penetration attempts, no factory seals anywhere, and it looks somewhat beat up but not too terrible. At the very least the hook isn't damaged or doesn't seem to be uh, bent in any direction, which is always a good thing. Who knows? The customer doesn't really say, didn't really specify what the problem with this thing is. He just said he got it on eBay. So today we're gonna see if we can fix this thing. First, we're gonna start checking for a short. There's a fuse here. The fuse doesn't appear to be short. 3.3 looks good. This here's probably 5 volt. This here's probably 1.2 or 1.8, whatever. This is probably PEX. And in here, 12. I think this is 12, and I think it's short. Yep, we have a 12 on, we have a short on 12. Perfect. Alright. Let's hope for an easy fix, some kind of a driver MOSFET or a capacitor somewhere, which I've never seen a capacitor short 12 volt before, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's go ahead and take this thing apart real quick and see what's inside. Okay, here we have our card taken apart. Everything is looking as normal as you would expect, yet we have a short on 12. So, my guess is one of them driver MOSFETs got blown. We can try to have a look under a microscope, see if we can spot one. Let's go and switch over to a microscope, have a look around on any of these driver MOSFETs and see if any of them look like they have a blowout on the side. That's usually noticeable, but not all the time, depending on the MOSFET design or depending on the way it actually died. You may not be able to see anything. See, like, there we go. So we have a capacitor that's knocked off. So somebody been messing around here. Let's go and check that capacitor, see if it's short. It might be short, so let's go and remove this capacitor like this. And the short is still there. So that means the capacitor is likely not to be short. Oh, the capacitor is not short. So let's go and partially solder that cap back where it belongs, so that we don't lose it. Who knows what this capacitor is? Probably 12 volt coming in filtering cap. Hard to say. I'm guessing that's what it is because it beeped. If it was a bootstrap or something else, it probably wouldn't beep. I'll put that there. It's not as easy as you think. Something like that. We can probably try tweezers. See if the tweezers will help us here. Where are we? We are right here. And I got that giant tip for the tweezers. And the tweezers are just making it more complicated. It did solder on one end, but not on the other. So let's go ahead and bring in some heat. And by heat, I mean air. And try to attach that capacitor with some hot air assistance. Because that ground pad doesn't want to get soldered easily. So we're going to have to help it out a little bit. So this actually might be the driver MOSFET that died, given the fact that we had an impact here in this area that knocked off the capacitor. Hard to say. We're just gonna have to figure it out one step at a time. Come on. There we go, almost there. No, don't stick to that. I think we're done here. Okay. This is one of those times where surface tension of the flux is both your friend and your enemy. So, one of those. Alright, let's continue on looking around. We'll cool the board off a little bit later if we need to inject any kind of voltage. Let's continue on looking around. Nothing here, nothing here. I don't see anything obvious unless I missed it. Let's look around the holes a little bit. Nothing significant here. Nothing here. Let's look on the back, especially around the holes. Doesn't look like anything's damaged in here. Everything's looking good. Looks good. And I don't see anything immediately. Some kind of a copper shaving here for whatever reason. And on the back end of the card, everything is kind of looking okay-ish. I don't see any immediate signs of any kind of scratching or basically I don't see what I'm looking for. So let's go and cool this card down real quick. Just stick it into the exhaust pipe right here. That's where all my farts go. So and we'll get the thermal camera ready, and we'll have a look around, injecting 1 volt into that 12 volt rail, see what lights up. Almost there. Just a few more seconds. I think that should be enough. Alright, let's have a look around. So the board is a little bit warm, but we can probably figure out what's getting hot in here. So we're dead short on actually no, we're not dead short. We're like 1 amp, 1.4. But I don't see anything warming up. I'm suspecting the driver MOSFET, so we can have a look a little closer. Nothing here. What about that driver MOSFET? Will we have to do some soldering? I don't see anything right away, or here, or anywhere, basically. We can probably have a look around the back of the board, but I doubt we're gonna see anything. Yep, I see absolutely nothing. Okay, so let's increase the voltage to, let's say, 1.8 or something. See what happens. Are we gonna see anything? The only thing that I see is the core starting to warm up. So we can check for the voltage leak. See how many volts is leaking into the core. And I wouldn't worry about it right now, because if we're leaking voltage into the core, imagine how many volts would leak into the core when somebody tried to power this board. Probably all 12 of them. So let's see if I can measure the voltage. 0.9, so we can probably go higher. Let's do 5 volt, and we should still be We should still be 0.9 or no more than 1 volt, if not less. Okay, so even less. So now we know that the leak is non-existent practically, so we can start looking at the driver MOSFETs once again with higher voltage and see if we can find the one that's giving us trouble. I think I found it. I think it's here. I don't know, you probably can't even see it. I am barely noticing it. And I can't even tell whether it's the driver MOSFET or the capacitor. So let's go ahead and flip the board over this way. And let's maybe give it a spray of stuff to cool it down. Turn on the evacuator. So this will definitely help us getting it all cooler. And the cooler the board, the easier it would be to spot whatever's heating up on there. Just some electric cleaner. Alright, so here goes the ground. There goes the camera. And now we should be able to see nice and clear what's going on, if we aim at the right one. Well, now I don't see anything. Why I don't see it? Why is it so hard to see? I don't know. Let's try from this angle again. I am not seeing anything. You know what? I'm gonna give this thing a whole 12 volt. Or maybe I can increase the... I don't want to increase the amperage because it's safer. It's safer to increase the voltage than amperage. Because if there's a short, you do not want to blow through the short with the higher amps. But if there's a short, the higher voltage is, I mean, it kind of goes both ways, but it's less likely to blow through the short. Oh, there we go. Aha. See right there, this guy. Oh, great, the lens fell off. Let me move over here. Try to find a spot. There we go. This guy here. This guy right there. Okay. This little dude. Yep, let's go and replace this thing and see what's going on. So like I said, it's safer to go with the higher voltage but lower amperage. And that is the reason why measuring the core resistance, as I do with these clips, and I'm getting just 0.43 of an ohm, and this thing is using like 5 volts to measure the resistance. So let's have a look. See, 4.5 volts, and it does zero harm to the core, because it uses very, very low, very little current to do so. That is why I said increasing the voltage is safer than increasing the amperage. So let's go and put this thing on a preheater and try to get that driver MOSFET replaced. It's not gonna be easy. There's a whole bunch of capacitors on both sides, and that's annoying, to say the least. But I'm gonna have to figure this out. Gonna be using capacitors. Why this doesn't line up? The board twisted? Uh-huh. Looks like the board has a very good twist to it. That's very unusual. Whatever. Nothing I can do about that. So we're going to be using these PCI Express slot covers to close the capacitors. If you get a funny capacitor in the way, you can just use a bigger capacitor, gut it out, and I sprayed it with orange heat resistant, it's like an exhaust pipe spray, and you can probably just put it right over the cap that you want to protect, like this, and so it's protected on the side. I'll do some NCP junk. Yep, NCP 302150. We should have a ton of these. See, you can look at it. You look at it, it doesn't look anything like it's broken or anything. It just looks perfectly fine. And yet, it's dead. So let's go and replace this. Let's see to get this car to work. What I like to do is I like to heat up the area first with a wide, no nozzle on hot air. So it blows a wide stream of air, and hitting the larger area. I don't know how long I want to do this, just kind of judging it by the feel, I guess. I'm guessing maybe 150 or so. You could probably put a probe on there. So I kind of look at this probe and it's reading 142 right now. So I guess I'm kind of where I want to be. Then we'll put some flux in here. And then we can focus on the driver MOSFET with a smaller nozzle attached, and maybe much higher temperatures, and we won't have to worry about any kind of popcorn effect or whatever, because we preheated the board and we preheated the area, so now we can. But even now, I don't focus on the driver MOSFET. I just kind of move around. Still, trying to get it warmed up a little bit more slowly to prevent any kind of popcorn effects. And I can start focusing on it right away. There we go. All right. Put some flux in here. And let's bring in another driver MOSFET. So I'm going to start back away from it a little bit so I don't apply too much heat on the driver MOSFET too quick. Kind of slowly warm it up. And get closer eventually. I think that's good. Wait for it to cool down a little. Press down. Squeeze the solder. And cool down again. Wait for the solder to harden a little bit. Let go. And start picking up the excessive amounts of solder, either using a tip or a wick, however you like. Most of the time just using a tip will work. I will put a little bit of air to help me with ironing the edges, the pins. See, that looks beautiful. Soak up all that flux with the Q-tip. Okay, we're gonna let the card cool down, and We'll let it cool down and we'll see. We can probably check for a short already. It should be gone. So let's do that real quick. See if we still have a short. See, no more short. Perfect. Okay. We'll let it cool down and we'll be back when it's cooled down. Alright, so here we go. Let's power on the board, see what happens. You could check the phase with an oscilloscope, but if you don't have an oscilloscope but you have a thermal camera, you'll be able to see if the phase is actually working correctly just by looking at the temperatures. It'll kind of give you an idea whether or not it's working properly. And it is not working properly. As a matter of fact, nothing is working properly. We're getting buzz on the cord, and I do not know why. So we might still need the oscilloscope to see what's going on, but I think the problem isn't even in the oscilloscope. I mean, it's not even the driver MOSFET. The driver MOSFET failed, I think, for a completely different reason. So, because the card is buzzing while I see all the phases lighting up. So let's go ahead and check for resistance one more time. So 1.8, 1.2, or PEX, 1.2 here. So 12 is quiet, no issues here. So let's see what kind of voltage we get. We should have all the voltages. So I want to see what the voltage is on the core. 0.1 or whatever. So it's too obviously it's low, and the memory, everything is low. Basically because the voltage drops as soon as we flip the switch. See, we're pulling 3.5 amps. Voltage drops down to 10. Increasing the voltage makes absolutely no sense. And if we were to check the phase that we've replaced, chances are it's going to be acting exactly the same way as the other phases. It's either going to be this one or this one. They all act the same. Yeah, they're all buzzing. So I guess, based on the experience and the observation, is that we have a problem with the PWM controller that's on the back. So most likely it died somehow, maybe, I don't know, because everything else seems to be working just fine, unless we have a whole bunch of feedback capacitors knocked off, which I highly doubt. But I'm gonna go ahead and look around the PWM controller. I think it's going to be the biggest one of them all, which is going to be this guy here. I'd kind of have a look around, see if there's any knocked off capacitor or resistor anywhere. I don't see anything. These feedback resistors here are all looking okay. Yeah, I don't see anything that... I think the controller is just bad. We can try to replace the controller and see what changes. So let's go and do that real quick. And as I was about to start removing this controller, I noticed something interesting. Let me go and clean up that controller from all that flux. I don't think we're gonna need to replace it. What I noticed is the crack. Apparently there is a crack right there. You see that little bulge there, which means there's a crack on the board that I did not see. Yeah, there we go. There's a crack on the board, and it is not small. And why didn't I see it before? Was because the crack went alongside of that little sticker here, so it was kind of hard to notice. But we noticed it now. So my guess is we have a whole bunch of connections, feedback connections that are damaged. So let's go ahead and fix the crack real quick. And yeah, so let's fix the crack, and I'll probably go and remove the I/O shield to make this process a little bit easier, because it's kind of getting in the way. Yeah, there's a very good twist on the board. It's not noticeable, but the board is twisted. Oh, it actually is noticeable. You can kind of see it's bowed here a little. But whatever. We'll start working on the crack and see what we can find. I'm going to go ahead and put this back into the parts bin. We don't need it. Alright, let's see what we got here. Crack had been hopefully fixed, but I didn't close it 100%. Okay, so we're good in PEX, 1.8. 12 is good. 5, 3.3. 1.8. 1.8 is good. Okay, even though there's no coil, there's still 1.8. NVIDIA learned to save, how to save 35 cents for a coil. If not 3.5 cents. I don't know how much they pay for them. I don't know. Let's power this thing on. And it's still doing the exact same thing. So as you can see, we're at 3.4 amps and we're buzzing. See? Yeah. We've always checked the core. It's not short. So, and I already dug, I think I dug far enough into the crack where at this point I'm just starting to think. Let me go ahead and take a quick look under under thermal camera one more time. I'm starting to think that even though we had issues in the crack, those had been resolved. I think we still have an issue with power management or the PWM. See, all of these driver MOSFETs are going crazy, while all of these are working kind of okay. So as if this guy isn't making its way all the way across. It's hard to tell. I could go do a little bit more digging. Yeah, but I'm just tempted to replace the controller to rule out any potential issues, because I could be sitting here all day and playing the guessing game. So instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace that controller. So I will rule out 100 things all at once and save myself a little bit of grief, time, and most importantly, what is that? Oh, you guys are gonna love what I have just seen. Oh my goodness, that's new. That is so new. Hold on a sec. The board is actually cracked here. Oh boy, let's have a look. Alright, let's have a look here. It's gonna look very, very close. Do you see this? Jeez. I have no idea the kind of damage that we're getting there. Possibly issues with the fuse. Who knows what's damaged in there? Bro, this is ridiculous. Okay. Don't really know. There shouldn't be a whole lot going on inside of there, but I want to see if we're actually getting all of the voltage across from here all the way through the fuse. Across the shunt. 9.88 instead of, well, same voltage. Okay, so we're getting through. What about the coil? Same voltage. So we're getting all the voltage across. But there could be something in here that's not making its way across the controller. Boy, that's a lot of damage. On both sides of the slot. That's new. What else is there left to do? I suppose I can start working on that, see if I can gather anything from that crack. So unfortunate. So I'm gonna have to probably remove the fuse, remove the coil, because both of those are in the way. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Before I close the crack or start soldering all these traces, other than the one that I did on the front. Oh, wait. Yes, oh, now I see. Stupid. Have a look at this. I screwed up, and I begin to wonder, why do I have a short? Where's the... Okay, there. See this wire here? Why do I have this wire running into the ground pad? I have no idea. Stupid. Okay, let's just get rid of that wire. Because I'm reading short. Because obviously that wire is grounded. Why I got it there, I have no idea. It looked like it was gonna... It looked like it wanted to go there. So let's just remove that. Come on. Come on. Are you out? No? I think so. Okay, there we go. Alright. Let's get rid of that wire completely if we can. There we go. Okay, so the wire is out. Let's check for a short on 12. And I think I don't think we're gonna have any short anymore. See? No more short. Alright. And just like that. The short is gone. Perfect. Okay, let's continue on the crack. And yep, all those feedback connections there could potentially have been the reason for such odd behavior. So, very unusual though, how it cracked here on top of there. So, and I assumed it was the controller or whatever. Yep, something new every day. Alright, so here's what we have. We had crack here, we had crack here, and if I wasn't recording, my mind would work properly. But because I'm recording, I have to think about what to say, what to show, and how to show it. I can't think straight. That's why I don't do a lot of talking when I do my repairs, so I can concentrate on the actual repair rather than on you. So, as far as that goes, we've got that fixed. See, my only concern now is uh, what I would have done if I wasn't recording. As soon as I noticed the crack, I would have gone straight for lifting the core. But because I'm talking, I didn't do that. And I started fixing this crack, then this crack, when in reality the problem could be much, much worse. And we could have a ton of rip pads under the core, but we won't know until we power this thing on. And so once we got this thing powered, we have 1 amp of power. Let me go ahead and, well, that's a good sign already, but there could be a big problems under the core. So let's go ahead and pop the thermal camera, see what's going on with the heat signature right now. Okay, all phases are looking good. Yep, I don't see anything weird. So had some feedback issues on both ends of the board. That seems to be resolved, but we won't know until we put it all together and run all sorts of tests, which hopefully it will boot, because if not, we'll have to do the whole reball, and it's just going to be another one of those days when I go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's all good. You pay me for it. Who cares? By watching it. So, alright, so we do have some paste on there, but let's put some more garbage paste there. Slap on the heat sink and power the card. Let's see if we get a picture. Are we getting a picture? I get no picture whatsoever. Okay, let's power down. We might have a no detect issue, which I really hope we don't. Okay, so I got power connectors, everything's good. Let's go ahead and go into the memory test, and I will also check for PEX, because that's the only voltage that I do not know that exists. PEX is good. 1.2, 1.8. Core is there. Okay, let's go into the memory test and see if we have a detect. We might not even have a detect, so we will probably have to reball the core. So 4 and 1. See, PCI device not found. Okay, let's go ahead and exit that out, shut down, and let's have a look at the data line tester. If it's gonna show us that we're having any pads that are ripped under the core, particularly at the front. Yep, we got like half the pads that are ripped. See right there. So that means we're gonna have to lift the core, and what I'm guessing what we're going to find is a ton of ripped pads, which will render this board a non-repairable, and we'll have to give the customer bad news. So, but I don't know. If only the first row of pads, not that many of them, are ripped, I could probably do it, but otherwise, well, given the fact that the core is so far away, it might actually make sense to try with the pad repair process if there's a lot of them. But when it comes to 4090s, when the core is a whole lot closer, don't even bother. They're gonna break off. But we'll have a look and see and go from there. There we have it. This is the reason why this card is going to be no fix. We got way too many rip pads, so there's nothing left to fix. I don't know if the owner's going to leave the card here as a donor. We're going to have a donor core sitting around probably for years, because there are, as far as I know, no boards for 4080s available for sale anywhere that I've looked. So unlike 4090s, there's millions of them. For 4080s and 5080s, there are 0 boards on eBay or AliExpress or anywhere that I'm aware of, any kind of market out there. So I already do have a 4080 core sitting in my drawer, as well as the 7900 XTX or XT, I'm not sure which one, but both came from same kind of problem. Too many rip pads, board's not repairable, core is perfectly fine theoretically, and there are no boards available. So that will be it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining, though not the happy ending as I was hoping, but that is what it is. And there we have it. The card is back in its semi-original condition with the exception of cracks on both sides that had been... I didn't bother closing it. I mean, why? What's the point? It's toast. The funny thing is that the customer didn't even believe that this was the card because he got it on eBay, obviously listed for parts. So when you buy a card that listed on eBay that's listed for parts, it is your job to ask questions. It is your job to do all sorts of visual inspections and ask the seller to show you whatever pictures that you want to see before you buy it. Because once you bought it, it's yours. So if you receive it and it's dead, it's supposed to be dead. And in this case, it was double dead and triple dead. And if he is thinking about getting his money back from eBay, opening up claim that it wasn't as described or whatever, unless it was described as I don't know, just quit one day or whatever. But even with that, it's I doubt there's going to be any win in this situation. So yeah, I don't care. I'm done. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning anyway. Who cares? Goodbye.